reason for today's session is, of course, we've acquired a company called Quest, which had, I think, good 30-40% of their business was data protection. That has given us a great complement in terms of software, and we obviously had a lot of hardware to complement that. So the reason for the session today is to give you the clear, complete picture on what Dell delivers today, what exactly is our capability, and most importantly, I'm sure you've heard we've become a private company. We have a new name for ourselves. We call it the world's largest startup. That's what a startup is. It's not a publicly listed company anymore. So Michael has a very clear vision. I also want to talk a little bit about that as to where we as an organization are headed. And we strongly believe that this is exactly what our customers have been expecting from us. Let me digress for 2 minutes and talk about exactly what that is doing. So are you aware of what our vision is, what has happened to Dell after privatization? Should I talk about that for 2 minutes? And I think it will probably answer some of the doubts a lot of our competitors have been raising. So in between, there was a gentleman by the name of Carl Icahn who was interested in acquiring Dell. And Carl has this strategy. It's like buying a second-hand car, then chopping it up small pieces. You sell the tires separate, you sell the engine separate. You end up making more money by selling the parts than the entire, that little broken down car you bought. So that was his strategy, and that is what Michael was worried about. That if that happens to Dell, then obviously, so there was a lot of there were a lot of rumors, and there was a lot of fears and uncertainties and doubts about where Dell is headed. So that's all gone. Michael built this company, he owns it now. It's his company, 35% of it is his own hard cash, and the rest 65% is leveraged money from the market, so it's his company. And Michael's vision was, so Michael has this very clear strategy. He says, let's say I don't do clients. Everybody knows that laptops, desktops is not a very profitable business today. And one of our very large competitors actually tried to get out of that and got into some mess. So Michael always had a different vision. His vision was like this. Let's say you are Mr. Seagate, and let's say he's Mr. Intel. If I buy 1 million hard drives from you, and if I buy 1 million CPUs from you, I have a very different negotiation powers versus I let my client business go, and I suddenly come and buy only 2,000 CPUs from you and 5,000 hard drives from him. So that's his vision. We are not going to close down our client business. We don't expect it to grow like crazy, but we also believe that, people used to say mainframe is dead. Well, let's be pragmatic and realistic. Mainframes are not dead. People used to say Unix will die and x86 will take over the world. Yes, there's a lot of x86, but Unix is not dead. So what Michael believes, and I think we as an organization believe, is that okay, it went up, it's going to stabilize at some point in time, but it's not going to go like this. I love my iPad and I have half a dozen Android devices, but end of the day when my wife has to do her schoolwork for the children that she teaches, or my son has to do his project, despite all the gadgets, we still need to pull out our laptops and get the work done. So it's not going to go away. So our vision as a company is what we've been doing, we're going to do, but the new incremental investments that are going to happen in the enterprise side, in the storage side, in the software side, and in the services side. So we will keep this business, we will retain it, we will invest a little bit in this, but the real growth will come somewhere else. So with that as the vision, 6 years back, Michael acquired a company called Ecologic. Ecologic was this very interesting thing, So let me ask this question. How many of you have actually bought, deployed, and used enterprise storage? A couple of crore rupees worth. Okay. Excellent. So what happens with storage is you go and you buy it. Let's say I'll take a hypothetical example. 1st of January 2005, you go buy a storage. Okay, next 2-3 years you upgrade it. Come 1st of January 2010, no matter how good the vendor, he'll come and tell you, look sir, 5 years old? Sorry, it's dead. So even if you have the best negotiation powers, you could probably stretch its life by a year or so. After that, they will actually start looting you. Because the kind of money you're going to pay for maintenance in that 1-year contract, you can actually replace it. That's what happens in our industry. So the whole problem that we all face is 3-4 years later, that big system you built, you spend crores of rupees, the whole thing has to be thrown away and it has to be replaced with a new one. So Michael came up with this, so obviously he has been scouting the technology industry for quite some time. So he found this company called Ecologic. He went to the board of directors and he said, I want to buy them. The board said, no, we don't acquire companies. Michael said, fine. You guys don't want to buy them, I can, $1.4 billion is not too much money. I can buy it from my personal cash. So he actually put the money on the table. That's when the rest of the board of directors came to Michael, no, we don't want you to go set up a separate business. It's one nice little Dell family. So we acquired that company called Ecologic. They used to do about less than $100 million worth of business in a year. 6 years, we grew that business to $1 billion. Their hardware that they used, the cost of the hardware, because Dell bought it and we had the volume, the cost went down to half. So about 15-20% got passed on to customers, but a company which was break even started giving us good 30% profits. But the best part is what it did for our customers. This whole storage concept changed. So with EcoLogic, what happens is, let's say this is the first storage you bought in 2005. Right? Let's say this is the next upgrade you bought in 2007. Let's say this is the third upgrade you bought in 2009. Come 2010, you deploy this. So let's say 5, 7, 9, that's the terabytes you already have. You buy a 10 terabyte storage. Now you have 10 terabytes of free space. You go, there's a little button you click, it's called array evacuation. So this guy will flush its data out and you take it out. You don't have to throw away the whole thing. 1. 2, you don't have to spend 6 weekends moving data from the old storage to the new one, and heart is sinking, God forbid something goes wrong, I'll have to go work all Sunday night. Upgrades are not fun, right? We all agree. So that was the concept with which we bought our first acquisition, which was EcoLogic. So our vision, our strategy as a company on the storage side has been very simple. First of all, I don't have a storage I sold to my customers 20 years ago, which is giving me lots of profit for support. I don't have it. So I'm here to change the market, the game itself. I'm going to do it in a very different way. And our intention is, we don't want to sell you a solution. We want to sit with you, figure out what your problems are, and then give you a solution. So we actually don't have one storage. We are probably the only company which has 3 different, unique, completely radically different storage products. I can call Dell as 3 different storage companies in itself. Nobody has so much of intellectual property which is brand new. Nothing is more than 6-7 years old. Most of the stuff which is available in market was developed actually about 20 years ago. So that's the benefit we have. So I think with that as the background, let me get into the discussion I want to do for the next about 10 odd minutes today, and we'll have a lot of time for informal catch-up. So this is what exactly I was mentioning, what keeps you up at night. End of the day, if the system goes off, it goes off. I lost my first data in my college. I finished my project, and those days, I don't know, you remember a virus called C-Brain and all those stuff? So those were the days, and one of those little viruses came and I was debugging it and it just blew up those 3 floppies. And I lost my 6 months of project that I was doing on the electrical engineering design that I was doing in college. So that was the first time I burnt my fingers with real data loss. So I've always been very stingy about, I'll tell you what I do with my personal data. I have a hard drive in the office that I copy my data to every Tuesday. I have a hard drive at home and I have a little script that copies all my incremental data to that hard drive. Then I just love my family photos and videos. So my hometown is in Himachal. So once a year when I go home, I just drop 2 DVDs at my dad's place. So I know all photographs that I've ever taken in my life of my kid growing up since he was born, there is a copy which is a clear DR site thousands of miles away. I do it with my personal data. I'm sure we all just love the information we've generated over the years. So this is what we believe is the worry, that 1, we have to mitigate the risk of data loss, and 2, it has to come at a very reasonable cost, because finally this is not my primary production data. I have seen archive systems more expensive than primary storage systems. Can you believe it? The one which is running my lifeline is actually costing less than something which holds data that I might need if something goes wrong. So that's why we believe that both of these are very critical parameters when it comes to solving our customers. This is a real business challenge that many of our customers face today. So that's why I said we have 3 very well-defined families that we've acquired and we've built up ourselves over a period of time to address specific needs of our customers. This is a nice graph. I'll just spend about a minute on this. So the lower right side of the axis is the recovery time objective. So God forbid something goes wrong, what is a reasonable amount of time you're ready to wait before your data becomes available? And on the left side of the same axis, it says how many hours of data it's okay for you to lose, because at the end of the day, the lesser data you want to lose, the more it's going to cost you. So that's why you get these 2 graphs. If you want it to be restored faster, it costs you more money. If you want the loss to be lesser, it costs you more money. Okay, and nobody has that last vertical thing which is almost parallel, infinite amount of money. Nobody has that. Everybody, end of the day, even if you're a very rich bank, or even if you are, I remember first time I started dealing with railways, we were one of the first, in fact we were the EMC manufacturers those days. So the EMC MD told me, don't go to railways. I said, why? He said, you should not, because this is railways, they have hundreds of crores of rupees. You guys sell mid-range stuff, I sell them the top-end stuff. So when our APJ VP came, we had a meeting on the table. I said, let's come to an informal agreement. If it's the high-end stuff, we will not come talk to you. So it's your baby. But if it's the mid-range stuff, it's our solution. You will not believe. Since I handled Chris and Central Railways, there was not a single high-end storage deal that actually happened with an organization which 10 years back was supposed to have crores of rupees. The reality is nobody has infinite budget. And that is why I think this is the most important graph. You've got to decide how much you want to spend, and it brings you to a particular point, which is what is your real budget. The reason why I'm showing you this graph is because at some point in time we want to come and talk to you about the big picture. You know, let's say that this is my new project and I need something for this. I expect my consultants in the market to have this discussion with you. Sir, मुझे पूरा बताइए कि आप सब कुछ क्या करते हो, what your infrastructure is like, and hopefully once I'm done, you will appreciate the reason for asking that question. Is because to give you a better solution for that one little project, if I have an idea of the complete picture, I can give you something which gels well with the entire environment rather than trying to fix this one little problem and maybe creating another one for you. So there are lots of use cases, I'm sure there is nothing special in this. You have small offices, you have large offices, you have head office, you do replication from one office to the other office, you move data. Good old days, I know customers used to physically move tape drives. I don't think anybody does that anymore. But I still think there are some customers who are still happy shipping their tapes to vaults and storing it there. So there were various ways we've done disaster recovery, backup, data continuity. But then I think the new world is a beautiful little world. I love Google Cloud. I'm not worried about my photographs anymore. They just go there. If I lose my phone, I've just ensured my dad has my login on his phone. He can always see that. Life is so much more better. So the latest technologies have made a big difference to the way we want to protect our data. And I think that's where Dell comes in, because we don't have any legacy baggage. So we're happy to start on a clean slate to build something for you which is good for the next 10 years. And it has got nothing to do with the way things were done 10 years ago, because the world has changed big time. Forget 10 years. I think last 4 years have been the biggest game changer when the tablets and the smartphones really appeared and the data actually moved there. I met a gentleman in the afternoon today. You know how much memory his phone has? He has 32 gigs of standard memory and he's put another 64 gig memory card. That's 96 gigs of memory on a phone. Actually, I'm not surprised. I later on checked, even my phone has about 48 gigs. But the point is, I actually then had a quick look at, if I remove my Outlook PST files, my entire data that I've generated in Dell in the last 13 years is about 14 gigs. It just takes less than half of that 32 gig extra memory I stick into it. It's just amazing, what you can do with these little devices today. So moving on, let's quickly talk about what is our point. So I gave you a brief idea on what our point of view on the primary storage is, which is what I mentioned, EcoLogic. We have another newer acquisition called Compellent, and if we have time, I'll talk about it. But I actually want to digress and focus on the agenda for today, which is data protection. So data protection is made up of a couple of parts, and that's what I want to talk about. First is, this is what we believe data protection is all about. So there are 5 things. Then reading the 5 points, I'll get down to each one of them first. The first one is, we believe that the data protection strategies have to be aligned to your application priorities. I have myself gone with a lot of backup software vendors we used to partner with in the past, where we would go to the customer and give them one solution for everything. So your Oracle database, okay, this will work here. Your file server, it will work here. Your firewall, it will work. Okay, in hindsight, I sit and think, I don't think I should pay $5,000 to protect the file and print servers. It makes sense to probably put it on an Oracle database, but not on the file and print server. So the first point is, one size fits all is the wrong approach. Even inside your organization, if you want to optimize costs, there should be more granular. And that's what I'm trying to say here is that if it is really, really mission critical, you need milliseconds response, something really fast, this needs something very different from data. Let's say you're a bank and you want to store statements which are older than 3 years old. What's the probability somebody will ask? In fact, my bank actually charges me if I want to get a statement which is older than 3 years. Fair enough, right? So that's why we've been working to build solutions to specifically address these needs. And if you look at the very first one, the most mission critical, we believe protecting the data on the primary storage itself is the right way to do it. You already have an expensive storage, you already have extremely valuable data, protect it right there. And then I have my colleagues coming in and they will talk about how to do it on layer 2, on layer 3, but we've got the entire gamut covered. And we've got the right price points, so we don't want you to buy the most expensive stuff to protect everything. We can give you the granularity which should go with these class of solutions. The second one is simple. You should reduce the amount of your data if you can. If your data can be compressed, if your data can be dedued, do it. And I'll give you a perfectly good example inside my own company. We have a series of events coming up. There are about 14 people involved. There is a 12 megabyte presentation that is traveling. I have a sense it's already hit about a terabyte of capacity usage. Because one guy just changes the name, it's a new PowerPoint file. The other guy just goes and changes one more picture in that, it's a new PowerPoint file. Okay, and it's already, I have 6 copies of that 12-14 meg file. There are 14 of us. It is easily a terabyte of data. And it's all in mails. And the mails are getting stored on our servers. And our servers are putting the data on our databases, which is at the backend storage. It fills up really fast. So that is why it's not just compression, but also being able to dedupe your information is really critical. I think that's important. We have a very clear vision and a point of view on that. We understand where you should be today. We believe what is the right path to take you to the best. And that's a discussion we can have. And the second part of the picture is, of course, snapshots. Snapshot, I believe, is probably the most fastest and the most amazing backup you can do. I have customers on a companion system, they have 20 volumes and they take a snapshot every hour. So they take 200 snapshots in a day and they maintain them for 7 days. That's 1400 snapshots. So I was talking to a principal engineer in companion, so I said, how many maximum snapshots have you heard? I have a little problem. My spec sheet says unlimited. I personally don't believe in anything unlimited. So I asked this consultant, this principal engineer, that any idea how many? So he gave me a few names of customers who on a single storage are running over 20,000 snapshots. If it is a slightly older technology storage, 20,000 snapshots will kill it. The technology puts almost zero additional workload. And then what is a snapshot? This is your data, you've changed so much, you took a snapshot, effectively make a copy of that. And you should be able to do it any number of times. I've seen other problems with snapshots. You take a snapshot, let's say today is Thursday, let's say the virus stuck probably your office on a Monday morning. Which snapshot should you go to? In our world, you can try the one on Tuesday. If it doesn't work, you can try the work on Monday. You can try the one on Sunday. But there are products available in the market. When you go to a particular snapshot, all the ones in the middle are deleted. So it's easy to put spec sheets. I can do this, but it's very hard to actually deliver something which is versatile and flexible. Can you imagine trying to check every single backup to find the perfect one when that mistake happened? Then it's just not worth it. So that's why we believe that snapshots are a very, very important data protection mechanism. It's there on all our storage systems. Extremely valuable, and we actually don't have limits. And then, of course, the standardizing. That's what I was actually. I can probably skip this slide and come to the right one, which is it's good to talk about the big picture, because when I understand your entire vision is like this, and this thing is going to be a part of the project, I'll probably offer you a slightly more tweaked solution than you said. I need this, give me this. So that's why the big picture is important, because big picture tells us where you're headed, what's your macro problem is, what's your vision as an organization. And whenever I meet senior executives, I usually have this as the first discussion. Let's understand your business priorities. I can offer you a laundry list of things. I'm happy not doing business with you and having a cup of coffee and walking off if I can't offer one. But end of the day, I want to be a partner. I really don't want to be a vendor. I came, I sold, I went off. It shouldn't work like that. If that's what's happening with you, I'd like to go out and have a side discussion and then have a word with my account executive with this. Then we're missing the point. Because that's what Dell is not about. So this is what we want. We want to help you cut your risks. We want to help save your time. And we want to ensure that we help you slash your costs. this is our vision. This is not our hardware vision. This is not my tape library vision. This is not my software vision. This is Dell's vision. This is the partnership we want to establish. Okay. One thing I will assure you, I will not come and sell this below cost to acquire a deal and then never turn. I would rather leave this deal, but I would do clean, good quality business so we can do it every single day, a repeatable model. That's the way we want to go. Now this is an interesting one. So what it shows is, on the left is replication, synchronous replication, the most guaranteed way of getting a data. Everything that happens in Delhi on your primary site, right now synced to your DR site, let's say it's in Mumbai, all the way down to archive. That's the complete set of solutions that customers need, and what Dell offers is this. So we've spent time buying companies, integrating them, developing our own R&D and technology to fit into every specific business need. That's the value we bring to our table. Are we here to sell you the whole thing? No. I also personally believe that every customer should have a dual vendor strategy. You need to keep me honest. You need to keep my competitor honest. I personally encourage every customer to have a dual vendor strategy, and I also request them, please consider this, because we are known to drive the costs of our competitors down. We've had customers where, once Dell managed to go in, the first was, are you sure? I'll give you a customer's example. I once quoted a library with 6 drives and some 300 slots. It's a very large MNC, and they make coffee and stuff. I'm sure it's a very pretty well-known brand, but I don't have their approval to give their name. So I met them in Gurgaon about 7-8 years back, and I came home and I got a call on Sunday, and I was like, what the hell? Why is a customer calling me on a Sunday? And that's an MNC customer who's off on a Sunday. He said, Monday morning, first thing I want you to do is to go check your quote. So I called my sales rep. I said, guys, something wrong happened on Friday. Check the quote. So 8 o'clock in the morning, the guys drive into the office. They check. He said, boss, everything is fine. So 9 o'clock sharp, I land up at their office in Gurgaon, and I speak to them and say, sir, what happened? He said, something is wrong with your quote. I said, sir, is it too high? Is it too low? What's wrong? What is it? Did we miss something? He said, no. You seem to have missed a zero. It was 1/10 the price of what he was used to buying. It wasn't 20% cheaper. It wasn't 50% cheaper. There was a zero missing, is what he said. And I thought I was making too much money trying to make 25 points of margin. Somebody was making a whole lot of money on that account. So that's the reason why I take these examples. I once met a customer in Australia, and it's an education college, and they didn't want to talk to us. I said, fine, we just walked around the data center, and I was going out, and I just asked him, by the way, those beautiful blue color libraries, I'll not give you the vendor name, how much is the maintenance you pay them? He said, yeah, I know that because it is due next month, and the figure he gave me was the figure in which that 1 year contract price, I could have sold him a 4 times faster, larger library with 3 years on-site, 24/7, 4-hour response, library brand new. So he didn't want to talk to us, we just sent him a quote after that. I can assure you the other vendor has never entered that account again. The point is I'm not cheap. Okay, let me be very clear, I'm not cheap. But when it comes to really high-end, true enterprise class stuff, some of my competitors are used to making way too much money because they had it so good all those years. Our job is, we want to be reasonably profitable and we want to drive the costs down. That's what we've done with end user computing. That's what we're doing in the data center. That's what we're here for. That's why we believe that we should be one of the 2 partners that every single large organization has, and they should consider us. So with that, I'm going to call my colleagues from the software side to go deeper into the discussion, and just a last quick point I wanted to make before I leave is, we're all here this evening, so over a cup of coffee or a drink or dinner, we can definitely talk. Thank you so much.